Welcome to episode 532 of the AI Brief. We have an absolutely massive deep dive lined up for you today. Anthropic just dropped a breakthrough workhorse model. Apple revealed a highly polarizing Siri AI overhaul. Plus, OpenAI is officially declaring a new third phase of the entire industry.
And down in Argentina, they are legally recognizing AI as corporate owners.
It is wild.
It really is. What is fascinating here is the sheer whiplash you feel when looking at the landscape today. I mean, on one hand, you have these massive leaps happening at the absolute frontier of AI capability.
Definitely.
But then you contrast that with the messy reality of trying to actually integrate those leaps into everyday consumer tech or, well, wrestling them into global law.
So let us jump right into today's new updates and start at that bleeding edge. Anthropic's Claude Fable 5 just landed, and honestly, this feels like the main event today.
Oh, without a doubt.
Anthropic pushed this into public release, but they are framing it as far more than just a routine model refresh. They are calling it a major leap in long-horizon AI capability.
Which is a very specific technical term.
It is. So think about the difference between a chatbot that helps you brainstorm ideas for 5 minutes and a senior contractor you hand a massive project to and say, come back in 4 hours when this is done.
That is Fable 5 in a nutshell.
It really is. It is a public version of their Mythos class model, and they say it dramatically outperforms older models in software engineering, scientific reasoning, and just long-running autonomous tasks.
The critical phrase there is long horizon, because historically, the longer an AI agent runs a task, meaning the more steps it takes without a human stepping in to correct it, the more likely it is to veer off course.
Or just completely hallucinate.
Spot on. But Fable 5 is built specifically to handle messy, multi-step work without drifting.
So let us unpack this for the listener. How does Fable 5 actually stay on track for 4 hours of autonomous work?
Well, imagine a chef who constantly tastes the soup every 5 minutes, instead of just throwing in 50 ingredients, walking away, and hoping for the best.
That is a great way to picture it.
The model constantly self-evaluates its intermediate steps. It generates a thought, tests it against the ultimate goal you gave it, and then course corrects before executing the next line of code. We are moving from lightweight digital collaboration to heavy autonomous infrastructure.
Which brings us to the cost, because heavy infrastructure is not cheap. Fable 5 is priced at $10 per million input tokens and $50 per million output tokens.
That is steep.
Very steep. For you listening, think of a token as a piece of a word. So processing millions of tokens basically means the AI is ingesting and spitting out entire libraries of text and code at once.
It is a premium tool for premium workloads.
Exactly. That is the point. But here's where it gets interesting. Anthropic built in this safety fallback mechanism. If a user's request looks malicious or highly suspicious, Fable 5 automatically routes the prompt to Opus 4.8.
Their older, safer model.
Correct. And it explicitly tells the user that a fallback happened. But I am a bit confused by this. Doesn't that defeat the purpose of an autonomous agent if it just panics and downgrades?
It is not about panicking. It is about establishing severe guardrails. That fallback mechanism draws a hard line between casual assistance and infrastructure for power users.
I see.
Anthropic is basically saying, if you want this level of unfiltered power, you have to operate within very specific parameters. It requires users who know how to direct real autonomy responsibly.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, moving from the massive data centers pushing boundaries for power users, let us look at how everyday consumers are actually experiencing AI. Because Apple just wrapped up their WWDC 26 keynote with a polarizing AI overhaul.
Polarizing is definitely the word for it.
Apple has officially rebranded their assistant to Siri AI. This is powered by custom on-device models along with a special collaboration with Google's Gemini.
Though we should note, it is not the exact same Gemini model Google provides its own users.
That is an important distinction. The standout capability Apple showed is that Siri AI can now reason directly from your on-screen content and take system-wide app actions.
So it is improving actual workflows, not just answering trivia.
Precisely. And privacy is the cornerstone here. Siri AI requests are processed entirely on-device or via their private cloud compute without saving data. It launches this fall for the iPhone 15 Pro and newer.
No EU or China at launch.
Right, well, due to regulatory hurdles, yes.
For someone who has never really used AI, this probably seems like magic. But for anyone used to frontier models like Fable 5, these demos feel distinctly stuck in 2024.
I completely agree. It feels underwhelming.
It is a massive gap in the industry. Apple is optimizing for absolute privacy and mass consumer scale. That inherently limits the raw capability of the models you can run on a piece of glass in your pocket.
It is a totally different game, and that tension between consumer tech and godlike data center models leads perfectly into our next update, because the leaders of those data centers are debating the endgame.
The OpenAI blog post.
Yes. Sam Altman and Jakub Pacharki published a post declaring a new third phase of the industry. They say the global economy is now fundamentally shaping itself around AI.
They outlined 3 highly specific goals: automate research, accelerate the economy, and give everyone a personal AGI.
Automate research. That sounds huge. Does that mean that AI is generating hypotheses and testing them without us?
To a degree. Imagine an AI acting as a peer researcher, reading every paper ever published and proposing new experiments.
Wow.
But they were careful to note they do not want to entirely automate everything. The goal is not to untether humans from their goals.
What really caught my eye was their call for a global coordination body. They actually suggested an international organization that could potentially pause frontier AI work.
Which is incredibly notable because Anthropic discussed a very similar pause scenario last week.
That is why
We have the top 2 labs openly discussing global coordination. It makes upcoming releases like Mythos or GPT 5.6 feel historically consequential.
And while those labs are begging for a global safety net, an actual country is hitting the accelerator and stripping away the rules. Down in Argentina, President Javier Milei has introduced legislation creating non-human corporations.
Truly unprecedented.
These are companies owned and run entirely by AI, complete with liability protections and corporate tax benefits. So I have to ask you, if an AI-run company goes bankrupt or breaks a law, who actually goes to jail?
That is the exact friction point legal scholars are panicking over today. Yuval Noah Harari actually pushed back strongly on this.
What was his argument?
He warned about the dangers of an impossible-to-regulate AI state. Milei is making an aggressive, first-mover deregulation play to attract capital. But Harari points out the severe lack of human accountability.
Because the framework of who is responsible is completely unresolved.
Spot on. We have the technology for AI to run a business, like Fable 5, but our laws are not ready.
The shockwaves from these major updates are driving massive moves across the rest of the industry. So I will formally open up this next section and cue you to take the lead on everything else happening in AI today.
Sounds good. Let us slow down a bit and examine the enterprise sector first. We are seeing a new platform called WorkClaw emerge.
Oh, built by ex-Meta and Google engineers, I believe.
And Microsoft engineers, too. These are enterprise agents that work inside Slack and Teams. They connect to over 3,000 apps. But uniquely, they come with their own job descriptions, human managers, and isolated computers.
Wait, isolated computers?
Sandboxed virtual environments. The AI gets a secure, walled-off space to click around and run code, but zero access to the company's sensitive network.
So if it gets hacked, the damage is contained.
Entirely contained. And along those lines, Google just dropped an agentic chat upgrade for NotebookLM.
I saw that.
Each notebook now gets its own sandbox computer. It can run code and output PDFs, spreadsheets, and slides directly from your documents.
Incredible.
Now, on the financial side, OpenAI officially filed a draft S-1 with the SEC, following Anthropic's recent moves.
Setting up for an IPO?
Preparing for it, though the timing remains unsaid. Meanwhile, the Chinese AI startup Moonshot just raised a massive $1 to $2 billion.
That is a staggering amount of capital.
It places their valuation at $30 billion, driven by the huge success of their Kimi models.
Wow.
And to support all this growth, we're seeing a massive global hardware push. The UK announced a £1.1 billion AI hardware plan,
Including a supercomputer, right?
a £750 million supercomputer. Simultaneously, Google and NVIDIA are working with Intel as a TSMC fallback. Google has already ordered 3 million chips for 2028.
Hearing those numbers, billions of dollars, millions of chips, it really grounds what OpenAI meant by the third phase. The sheer scale of capital and silicon required to keep this industry running is almost hard to comprehend.
The physical infrastructure is the new bottleneck.
It really is. But let us bring this massive scale back down to earth for the listener. I will take the lead here as we pivot to strictly practical, actionable tools you can use today.
The fun part.
Oh, absolutely. Starting with Google's upgraded NotebookLM. If you're dealing with a massive document dump, this is perfect for acting as a personalized research assistant.
It handles the heavy lifting.
Next is the Meta Enterprise Agent. This is ideal for small businesses looking to automate their customer sales and support channels instantly.
A game changer for small teams.
For sure. Then we have Devin Desktop. This is Cognition's rebrand of Windsurf, and it is the go-to environment for software engineers managing complex coding agents.
It keeps the messy code organized.
Definitely. And for general knowledge workers, there's Claude Cowork. This is best for handing off messy, multi-step tasks and getting highly polished outputs back.
It acts like a true assistant.
On the marketing side, ArtifySlide is trending.
Right.
For any presenter, it instantly converts raw text into beautiful magazine-style HTML slide decks.
Saves hours of formatting.
Absolutely. Then there is CleanAudio, essential for podcasters or video creators needing to strip out background noise using AI.
Without degrading the voice quality.
Spot on. And for verbal processors, Clarafy is incredible. You dictate your rambling thoughts and it transforms them into perfectly structured text instantly.
Love that one.
Me too. Finally, there is Acade. Built for scientists and deep dive learners, it turns basic questions into rigorous hypotheses, experiment plans, and traceable research reports.
If we look at this from a practical angle, the real magic is stacking these tools.
How so?
Say you are a learner. You could use Clarafy to brain dump your messy thoughts, feed that structured text directly into Acade to build a rigorous research plan, and then output that final plan beautifully via ArtifySlide.
That entire workflow would take days manually.
And now it takes minutes.
It leaves us with a fascinating thought to chew on as we wrap up today's deep dive. We are talking about these tools making us vastly more productive. But if Argentina is already granting AI the legal rights of a corporation today...
Where does it end?
Exactly. I mean, that is the question. By 2028, will we just be using these trending tools to work for ourselves, or will we actually be hired by an AI-run corporation based out of Argentina?
That is a slightly terrifying thought.
It is something to think about. Make sure to follow the podcast on your favorite platform and share this deep dive with someone who really needs to catch up on the AI boom.
It has been an absolute pleasure. Take care, everyone.
See you in the next episode.